Hi, kia ora, and welcome to Creative Connections, where we have beautiful, inspiring conversations with artists living in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Jakic. Katrina Cosgrove is a painter born in England who migrated to New Zealand in 2005. She's now based in Bronte, which is a small settlement at the top of the South Island of Aotearoa in the Tasman District near Mapua. Katrina's nature-inspired artworks delve into the themes of self-discovery, transformation, freedom, and the profound connection between nature and the human spirit. With a background marked by resilience and a powerful personal journey, Katrina's art reflects her transition from the corporate world, where she battled chronic pain caused by fibromyalgia and stress, to a life of transformation and creative fulfilment. I loved meeting Katrina. She has a really gorgeous spirit. In this episode, we talk about how she sees the world after an upbringing surrounded by the arts and creativity, and her career in recruitment and the ways that has influenced her art practice, her long-term dream to be a full-time artist, which finally came to fruition after an actual dream, which became an overnight catalyst to this career move. We talk about finding her voice and her personal style as an artist, and also the development of her new open working studio and gallery space in Bronte. Katrina shares her personal story experiencing a nervous breakdown, waking one day in 2021 in extraordinary pain, followed by an emergency trip to the hospital, which led to 3.5 years in chronic pain. Her deeply personal work now reflects her journey and also encourages others to connect to their own journeys, uplifting people's lives through her floral and waterfall series. Thank you so much to Katrina for coming on to Creative Connections, and thank you to you for listening. Good morning, Katrina.
Good morning, Mandy.
It's quite funny because it's actually evening for you, isn't it? And morning for me.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
So let's just say kia ora.
Yeah, kia ora.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
I've really enjoyed looking into your practice, which I adore. And in the video, you've got your beautiful work behind you, which is stunning. So, looking forward to having a chat. Now, you were born in England, and you have just had a really exciting move to the Tasman District, which is north of Nelson,
Yes.
near Mapua. So tell us about where you're living at the moment. And I know you've just moved there, but what do you love about that area?
Oh, well, as you know, we've relocated from New Plymouth. And every year we've got a bus, and every year we would come down to the South Island to tour around in the bus and just find new places and explore. And every single time we came down here, we ended up visiting Bronte and Mapua and taking little roads off, the main highway. And we go around Golden Bay and Abel Tasman and everything. And we just fell in love with Mapua. It's a absolutely magical location. The ocean is crystal clear. It's calm. If you're a surfer, you're stuffed, basically. But it is just magic. And the weather's really good as well. And the community here is what absolutely stand out. People got to know us after a few years of coming. And we just thought one day, you know what? Let's shift the businesses and move there. Go there. So we started looking for property, and then we found this amazing converted barn in Bronte, which is a peninsula just off the state highway. When you come out of you go north out of Nelson, as if you're going towards Motueka, and then for those of you that know Mapua, you take a right turn off. Well, there's a turn off just before the Mapua turn off, and that's Bronte. And Bronte is a peninsula. There's an art gallery there. There'll be my gallery now, and but there's no shops or anything. It's just a lovely little neighbourhood of some beautiful homes. And since we've been here, I'm already networked in the art world, already made new friends, and it's just it's a joyful place to live, basically.
Mm,
That's
how
why we came.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is such a gorgeous area, that Tasman District. Love it.
Oh,
And
it is.
it's so exciting, isn't it, to have a new place and to be developing your studio and,
Yeah.
developing a new gallery studio space. And, you
Yeah.
just must be in heaven.
Seventh heaven. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, and everything unfolds as it's meant to be. And even for my husband's business as well. And he's already getting work coming in. And so it's just awesome. Really,
Yeah.
really awesome place. And I can't wait to finish getting my studio ready and to be creating again. So,
Yes, I've been really enjoying watching your progress with your studio on Instagram, and yeah, can't wait to see it all
yeah,
finished and ready to go.
yeah, it won't be long now. Probably be a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
Wow, living the dream, and good on you for taking the plunge.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a joint decision and one we didn't take lightly, but we're really glad we did.
Mm.
We're not strangers to taking leaps of faith. It's something Andrew and I are really good at, actually. We freak out our families when we do these things, but we say, don't worry, it's all going to work out. It's all in the mindset. And, we're doing this because we know it's right. And it is. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So good. Love your attitude. So you
Yeah.
were born in England and you came out here in 2005. Can you tell us a little
Yes.
bit about your childhood in England?
Sure. So I grew up in the south of England in Hampshire, and the Hampshire Downs are famous for Bright Eyes, the movie. These beautiful little cute rabbits flopping around everywhere. And so I grew up in the Hampshire Downs. So I'm a country girl by heart. Went to a country school, creature of the earth, always playing outside on the farm, in the forest, building camps. It was an absolutely magical place to grow up as a child. I had animals galore: chickens, dogs, goats, sheep, you name it. And so my love of nature has stemmed from, very much, pretty much since I was able to walk and talk. But the village I grew up in was a place called Penwood, which is near to Highclere Castle. Now, you guys will probably be aware of a TV series called Downton Abbey. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Downton Abbey is where I grew up. I used to play in all of those grounds there of Highclere. That's Highclere Castle. So you can imagine I was in
Mm,
my absolute, element growing up there. So the south of England, Hampshire's a beautiful part of the country to grow
yeah.
up in.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And obviously
Yeah.
that love of nature has passed on through into your
Oh,
practice now.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
Huge inspiration.
Tell us about how you went with your art as a youngster, and were you studying art at high school?
Yeah. So yes, when I was at high school, art was one of the subjects, one of the few subjects I passed. um, yeah. So we won't go into that one. But yeah. So art, I excelled in art. In all areas. It was pottery and painting, and creating things with textiles, like anything I took my hands to. It just went really, really well because I just had this really vivid imagination as a child. And that was encouraged by my lovely parents, my mum and dad. They just let me go wild with my imagination. And so if I wasn't having a great time at high school, doing my art, I was doing it at home, and I'd make things I'd bring back home from the forest, and do printing and stuff, and working out how things worked, and just nothing. I had no boundaries with what I did, and so from a really young age, I was playing, basically, creating and playing.
Yeah.
And it's something that was never taken away from me. My parents really encouraged it, and it was a lovely time of my life, actually. And so yeah, I did a lot of art in my spare time,
Mm.
and music, which is my other thing. So
Okay. Are you a
yeah,
musician?
I am. Yeah, yeah,
Really? What
yeah.
do you play?
I play guitar and I sing, and I play the African djembe, and I play the Native American flute.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. How
And my
amazing.
father's a musician, and he's been a musician all his life. And so I grew up with the arts, basically, musical family.
Mm.
And he taught me everything that I know. And he didn't teach me the Native American flute or the African djembe, but yeah,
Oh,
my first guitar when I was 6.
really? That's so interesting.
Yeah,
Wow. So you're a
yeah,
very creative person innately, obviously, and lovely that you grew up in that kind of environment and had so much
yeah.
support to express yourself creatively.
Oh, I was very lucky.
Yeah.
Very, very, very lucky. Yeah. And, your journey in life starts when you're young. And it's just taught me to see the world in a very, very different light, I suppose.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that music will probably be another lovely way for you to connect to your new community.
Oh, yes. Definitely, definitely. Like, we've already found an African drumming group, which starts up again in the summer. A
Really?
full moon drumming group. So there's about 25 drummers that will turn up, and other percussion instrument players, and we drum and do all this amazing stuff underneath the full moon, weather depending, of course. So yeah, there's heaps of musicians around here. Like, the
Yeah.
pubs in Mapua, they have live music every weekend. And my husband's a musician too, and my husband's an artist.
Really?
So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, Andrew, my husband, who you'll see on some of my posts, he's got a fine arts degree. So
Really?
yeah. So yeah, long story there too, but he's really talented.
Yeah. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds incredible. What an amazing creative life you're living. And
Oh,
so
yeah,
great that you continued what your parents sort of started you off on, that
yeah.
you've continued that all the way through. But it is interesting that you didn't end up having an artistic career as such. You became a full-time artist, what, 5 years ago. Is that right?
Full time. Yes,
Full-time.
yes,
Yeah. So can
yeah.
you talk to us a little bit about your career and how you kind of juggled your artistic talents and sort of your need to be creative around your career?
Oh, absolutely. So, as we were discussing earlier, I moved here in 2005, and, with my husband at the time, my son's father. And so circumstances meant that I ended up on my own raising my son as a solo parent. And so I had to find a job very quickly. And thankfully, my parents, when I was younger, after I left school, sent me for a year to business college. And I'm really grateful they did, because business college taught me how to use, a computer and how to type, touch typist. And I had all these skills. And so I ended up, very cutting a long story short, I ended up working for a private recruitment agency, IT recruitment agency called Candle Recruitment in Wellington. And I went in as an office administrator. And then within the year, I was promoted to a resource manager. It was just something I was really good at, because I love people and I love empowering people, and finding the right job for another human being is something that I really loved doing. And so, newly being a single parent and then going into recruitment, which was actually a perfectly aligned role for me, set me up for 14 years. And so I ended up working at a senior recruitment advisor level for various government departments in Wellington. And this was either recruiting for individual roles or big programs of work where there could be 10 or 15, 20 roles. And I did all the resourcing, which is finding the people and interviewing them with a panel, and then second interviews, and then placing them into the roles. It was a huge job. I commuted into Wellington from Kapiti 5 days a week. And I was working till 9, 10 o'clock at night after dinner when I got home. And that was my life as a solo parent. And so my absolute savior during that time was doing my art in my spare time, because I didn't have Monday to Friday a chance to really do that. I'd sketch things when I was sat there watching TV, or I'd come up with ideas, but to actually paint, that was done on the weekends. It was my release. And my dream for so long was to become a full-time artist, and I've just never had the opportunity to do that. And so I never thought that it would happen. And so I just made the most of my creative time, and my soul so wanted to do it. And my job, I was really good at it, but it didn't make my heart sing. And it was a means to an end. It paid for a mortgage, food on the table for me and my son. And I don't regret any of that because I'm doing it now. But I can tell you for many, many years, it was like, am I ever going to be able to do this? And, it used to get me down. And so when I did paint, I threw my heart and soul into it. And, I had limited space in my home. So it wasn't ideal, but I still did it.
Yeah, you still needed that creative release. Yeah, that's such an amazing story. It's quite inspirational that you sort of picked yourself up and, got into a really good career and did really well with that. And it must have been quite interesting for you in a way doing that sort of work. I mean, I can see how it connects because your work, the way that you work feels like it's very, very mindful and you're really thinking about well-being and what you're contributing to your viewer as well, or your collector. And it feels like that kind of connects with the way you were working in some ways.
You're absolutely right. And I'm really grateful that you've picked up on that, Mandy, because my career was a huge inspiration for what I'm doing now with my art for many reasons. Yeah, so obviously I've been a full-time artist for the last 5 years. And there's lots of things that I've painted over the years, lots of things I've enjoyed exploring. But I had, and I'm not kidding you, this and my waterfall paintings started with a dream. And I had this really, really vivid dream. This was around when COVID hit. And the dream had me standing at an easel with a class of people, like I was in one of my old interviews when I was at, working in recruitment. And I was showing these people, or people in a panel, how to paint. And I was painting these beautiful, big, abstract florals and waterfalls. And because they're two things that I love. Like I have a huge appreciation for nature and everything, and the great outdoors and the New Zealand native bush. And so this was in my dream. And the next day I said to my husband, my God, I've just had this incredible dream. And I told him all about it. And he said, well, let's get you doing that then. And so no word of a lie, it was like overnight. I had a part-time job at the time, and I'll be honest with you, in the beginning, I was working part-time while I did this, and Andrew actually built me my studio. So on my social media, the studio that you see that over the last couple of years has been the studio that my husband built me. And it was just so special. And he did that for me. He did that so I could go for it. And so I was working at Artistic Expressions in New Plymouth, teaching 6 to 12-year-old children art.
Really?
And 4 afternoons a week. So I'd get there at 3:00 after they came out of school, and I'd be there till 5:30. And so that was just magic. And when I started creating full time, I just went with my dream. I know how to work with paints. I started creating my own homemade mediums. I played around on small canvases. Just to get a feel for where I was going with things. I don't just use brushes. I use palette knives. I use tools that I make. And so I was just playing in those stages. And then, just tentatively going in there and go, oh, I wonder what's going to happen here if I do this. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. And so that was what I did for sort of a few months of getting really into it. I have, honestly, the amount of canvases that I got through was just practicing and just doing stuff. And it just kept getting better and better and better. And I didn't have any boundaries. And I just went for it. Hugely expressive. The florals more so than the waterfalls. They are extremely expressive. And I found my voice. And at the time I was thinking, oh, do I do florals or do I do waterfalls? And someone said to me, well, where's the rule book? Most galleries say, oh, you need to just specialize in one thing. Well, not me. I do both, and I sell both. And so the florals, I'll start with the florals. So the florals, the connection between these and the old world that I used to live in, I'm all about people, right? And so I used to find the perfect role for the person. It wasn't just about getting bums in seats. It was about finding a person for the role that was a good cultural fit for the role, that they could do the role, that they would fit with the team, and the manager would get along with them. There were so many elements to what I did. And I wanted that person to stay there. I didn't want them to leave in a year. So it was really, really dear to me that I found the right people. And this is why I did really well in that environment. But I used to have a natural way of connecting with people. I have done this since I was a young girl, and it's been picked up so many times with people. And I listen to people. And through my career, I used to hear so many stories from people, and they would volunteer stuff to me that they didn't even think they'd be talking to, when they first met me. And I bring them in and have a chat before we take them for interview. And so with these florals, they represent the journey of life. And so that's one element. But the other element that you might not know about me is around the time where COVID hit, we had some jiggery-pokery going in my old career. And so I decided to leave that job so that I could just have some downtime. I was hugely stressed. My body just broke. I can honestly say I had a breakdown. I was just
Really?
completely, I had given so much for 14 years, raised my son, and I'd done nothing for me, and other than weekend painting. And so at that time, would you believe, a friend of mine introduced me to my husband, Andrew, and we got married the year later. But unfortunately, the stress got to me, and I literally woke up one morning and I couldn't walk. I was in so much pain, like the most excruciating pain you can ever imagine. Like every muscle in my body was spasming, and I was screaming in pain, and I ended up being rushed into hospital. And that was my life for 3.5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was, no one could work out what on earth was going on with me. And all I knew was that the warning signs had been happening for a long time. I was getting heart issues, and just a hugely stressful environment that I was in. And I had heaps of scans done, and they couldn't find out what was wrong with me. So they diagnosed me. They gave me a label, which was fibromyalgia. I don't believe I have fibromyalgia. I believe it was a seriously mental, stressful breakdown that I had. And so that's why I actually became a full-time artist. So it wasn't just about the recruitment and the previous career. I had a journey, and I was in chronic pain. I was walking using a walking frame. And so I went from a gym bunny 4 times a week to absolutely nothing. So my muscles started to waste away. And I had to do physio every single day to keep my muscles strong. I had an amazing physiotherapist. And the only thing that actually helped me was my art. And Andrew built me the art studio. I was doing art way before he built me the art studio, every single day, and in a corner of the room. And I suddenly realized after a few months that my pain was subsiding, because I was on really strong painkillers. And I thought, wow, I'm just going to go with this. And then within 4 months, the pain had completely gone. This is after 3.5 years of not being hardly able to walk. I couldn't go out in nature, which is my love. I became really ill in myself, in my mind, because I couldn't go for proper walks. I couldn't climb upstairs. I was pretty much crippled, but basically in pain. Basically, my soul was telling me, you need to stop doing what you're doing and actually start to heal yourself before you can, do anything else. And so that's basically what happened. And so my art is about life's journey. It is about remembering to just take a step back from your life sometimes when things get stressful, reconnect to nature, the greatest gift that humanity has. It's free. It is so healing. It healed me. My art healed me. It healed my pain. I came off the painkillers. The more I painted, the less pain I was in. And then my soul was happy. And for the first time, I was truly where I was meant to be. I use this phrase all the time in my art. So I'll tell you. So these florals. So you can see the sort of the chaotic background, the energy and everything. So I do the background painting first. And so the background is life's journey. So it is the twists and the turns, the ups and the down, the dark to light. So I start off with darker colors and I bring them forward to the lighter colors. The changes of direction. It is the layers of emotion and experiences that we actually go through in our lives. And like I said, it's the darkness and the light. Out of chaos always comes light. That's what that back painting's all about. The flowers, so you probably won't be able to see it there, but I have the open blooms. Then I have the half open flowers, and then I have little buds dotted around. So I'll start with the buds. So the buds represent rebirth. They represent growth, starting over again. The half open flowers represent finding yourself, starting to emerge into who you're truly meant to be, that growth process that we all go through when we're finding ourselves. Just that little speck of hope is these half open flowers. And then the open blooms represent blossoming into who you're truly meant to be, finding your joy, finding the light, and just being in the moment, this joyful flower that's a reminder of how far you've come. And so this is the meaning behind my floral art. It's a reflection of my journey. This flower is me in my world. But it's also other people's worlds. And my waterfalls, which is a shame I don't have one here because I couldn't fit it in. But the waterfalls are, when I was going through all of this, I'd spend, with my husband, because I couldn't really walk very far, I would try and get out in nature as much as I could. And the waterfalls were the one thing. I go and sit. I didn't need to walk far. I just sit in front of a waterfall and just reconnect to my soul, to my spirit, and to the earth, and just have this unlimited connection to what was around me. Next time you go walking in nature, don't just look at what's in front of you. Look at the colors, look at the textures, look at the depth, feel the breeze, smell the air, listen to the trees and the birds and nature. And because it's free, like I said, it's healing, it's so nurturing, and so many people just miss it. They don't remember where we actually come from. That's nature. We are nature. All of us are nature. And so the waterfalls are a reminder to people to just take a little bit of time out from your life, because we all lead chaotic lives, and just to reset and to find your peace again. And to remember that we live in this beautiful world. We are so lucky to live where we do. And I know in the chaos of the world at the moment, but we can't change that. So look after you, So that's the essence of the art that I'm doing now.
Oh my goodness. I actually feel you make me feel quite emotional just listening to you talk about that, because it's very, very powerful, Katrina. And thank you for sharing your story about your personal health issues and how you are feeling. And it is incredibly inspirational to think that you basically sort of cured yourself, and through that journey of finding your soul and finding your soul food in a way through your art, which is an incredible story, and I'm sure it will touch everybody listening. Now I understand that story behind it and what you're thinking about and what you're trying to express. It has even more impact, and I can totally see now through the floral works, especially how you're showing that journey and all the elements of it. Do you find that when you're making it, you're kind of releasing your personal journeys as such, and trying to kind of process things that you're experiencing at the time, or is it more just a sort of holistic look into that?
That's a really good question. So in the beginning, like the first piece that I did right when I was, going through all of this was Freedom to Bloom. And if any of you can be bothered, you can look it up. It's on my Instagram page. Freedom to Bloom was me just letting everything out, that whole series. And because I did 4 paintings in that series. And but now I have this mission. My absolute aim is to bring joy and love and light and remembering into people's homes and lives. And so I'm not just creating art anymore because I love to create art. That's obviously a big element of it. It's weird. I've just got this. It's my thing. The people that buy my art when I do the shows, I get men coming up to me saying, "Oh, I've never liked floral art before, but I love yours. There's something about it. There's so much energy." And I tell them about the meaning, and they're like, "Well, that's what drew it to me." And it's amazing. And so every piece I create, so obviously I think about the color palette that I'm going to use, and I think about the emotion and the feeling that I want to portray, and that dictates to me, the color palette that I'm going to use, because to me, colors represent different emotions and feelings. And then I just think about life's journey, what we all go through. I think about whether I want to do a piece that's reflective of somebody's life in the not so good times and then finding their light, or this piece is called Dance Till Dawn. So it's just a joyful, the colors are beautiful, but it's also about life's journey, but also the energy of finding yourself and dancing and just being free to be who you want to be. And so, yeah, I'm not, it's not really about me anymore. My mission is to, it's about people. It's about joy. It's about love. It's about light and uplifting people's lives through my art. Is the best way I can explain it.
It feels like you have a purpose that possibly was always there for you.
Yeah.
But it feels like this is your purpose in life, not only being an artist and creating and honoring your creative side, but it's also a gift that you've discovered through your own journey that you can give to other people.
Thank you. That's pretty much what it has been for me. Like my parents, obviously, all my family's in England, and my mum rang me the other day, and my dad, they're not together anymore, but my dad rang her, and he said, "I'm so proud of Katrina for what she's achieving," because he said she's always had this gift, and he regrets not encouraging me to do more with it when I was younger, after I left school. But now they're just seeing me blossom. Funny that, isn't it? But it's a gift from my heart to others. I mean, I trained, I'm a Reiki master as well, so I trained in Reiki years ago, and so I just have this natural thing within me in my heart and soul to help others and to uplift and empower people. And it's just who I am, I suppose.
Yeah. And you do it so beautifully. How do you communicate? I mean, you mentioned, this man who was drawn to your work and you had a chat with him, but how in general do you communicate these ideas to help people connect on that deeper level?
Well, see, how can I explain this? So when I'm at a show, or if I'm, when I do the arts trail, for example, and people come, I let people have a bit of space. I welcome them and I'm polite, but I don't jump on them straight away. I just leave them to connect with my art, because 9 times out of 10, they will, for their own personal reason. And so I just leave them there for a good 5 minutes. And I see it every time. I see someone go, and they're looking at it like they've just seen a long lost friend they haven't seen in years. And then they'll go up close to it, and then they'll have a little look, and then they'll go, "Oh, look at those little buds, and oh gosh, I wonder what this is about." And then that's when I go in and I just say, "Hello, I'm the artist. Would you like to know about the meaning behind my art?" And that's how that conversation starts. And it's just, if I had $1 for every time I have an amazing conversation with someone who, not everyone will buy my art on that at that time, but the conversations are just amazing, and they get it. Men, women, like they absolutely get it. And what happens is they relate to something in their life, in their journey. And the people that have bought my art all have given me feedback to say why they bought my art. It wasn't just because it looks beautiful, or the colors are right for their lounge, or it's just a flower painting or a waterfall. It's deeper than that. Like, I sold Ethereal last year at the Tasman National Art Awards to a lovely guy called Edward. And I was actually there when he came in. He was a local man. And I watched him. He stood in front of the waterfall painting for a good 10 minutes with his hands on his hips. It was like he was going on a journey. And I went over, and he actually said that to me. He said, "This painting takes me on a journey." And I said, "Tell me more." Because I let them talk about their journey, because it isn't about me. I make the art. It's about people. That's how I've always been. And he said, "I'm a triathlete. I'm a long distance runner. I've just come back from Bali doing a run." And he said, "I was running through some amazing terrain." And he said, I just happened to glimpse off to the left this amazing waterfall scene. And he said, "And I walk in here today, the first day of opening, and I see your waterfall painting." And he said, "I couldn't stop running because I was in a race. And I thought at the end of the race, gosh, I'd love to go and find that place again." And he said, "It's in your painting."
Really?
And so he bought it then and there. And so it's just so beautiful seeing. I mean, all of us humans are amazing individuals. We really are. And it's amazing what our souls will connect to when they're meant to, when they're ready to.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like you're sort of your art and you are sort of a conduit in a way for people to connect to their own emotions or connect to their experiences. And you're so good at speaking and sort of and listening, as you said. But then your work does a similar thing. It's actually incredibly powerful.
Oh, thank you, Mandy. Thank you. I probably don't talk about that side of it enough, but social media, I do it because it's a very handy tool. But I probably should talk more about that. I just don't want to put it in people's faces, you know.
Yeah,
It's,
I think it's okay to do that. I mean, I did feel from looking at your Instagram, I could see that you were thinking a lot about mindfulness and well-being
yeah,
and those things. But I feel like it's just adding something to your work, and I think it's a great thing to really promote. You know, that's something it's something unique about what you do and deeply personal, which I think so many people
yeah.
would really connect to.
Yes, yes. I think I need to sort of work out how I'm gonna, in a non-cheesy way, I
Yeah.
suppose you just be me, but because there's so much mindfulness stuff all over the internet, and some of
Mm.
it's great, some of it's not so great, and it's just tapping into that. I think I just have to be me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I don't want it to detract from my art. That's the only thing I'd say. I don't want to become then a health and wellness. Um, I am a health and wellness advocate through my art. And actually, personally, those are people that are my friends, will say that about me as well. But yeah, I'll have to somehow come up with a nice approach to doing that.
I think even just speaking as you are, to a work and videoing it, I think video is powerful for you because you have a way about you that draws people in. So I think that in itself, just when you create a new work to speak about your thoughts, would feel very genuine, authentic, and it would be a great way, I think, for people to be drawn in and to connect to your work on that deeper level, as I said. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely gonna food for thought.
Try that. Food for thought. Now your works, let's talk a little bit about process. So your works are very intuitive and feel like they're really representing where you're at and what you're thinking about, as we talked about. And I love the movement and all of those elements of your work. How do you balance intuition with planning?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, so the planning side of what I do. So I think about the colours that I'm going to use, the feelings and emotions that I want to portray. I have a book and it has everything. So I sketch up when I'm thinking of, for example, a waterfall painting. I sketch up a rough outline in my book. I might write a poem to gain inspiration. I'm very sporadic because I'm musical. I sort of like to do things like that. And then when I'm playing with colours, I don't just use colours. Well, that's a lie. I do use colours straight from the tube, but I like to make my own colours. I like to make my own greens, and like this colour in the background here was just my own blend, basically. And so I write down. I paint my colours in my book. I write down what the compound or whatever it is I've put in there. And then I get my canvas, get it all ready. I get my paints ready, and I just if it's a waterfall, I'll sketch the outline of what I'm doing on the canvas, and then I just go for it, basically. So I would say the waterfalls are more planned than the florals. The florals, I do think of composition when I'm doing the florals. It's really important to me where I put the flowers. The first painting, like I said, the abstract in the background, I wait for that to dry first before I do the next stages. There's multiple layers, several 8 maybe layers of that back painting. And so I make up my own homemade mediums that I put into my paint. I've used every other medium that's on the planet. There is a Liquitex one I kind of like, but I actually make up my own. I mean, these flowers have got, would you believe it? They've got water-based varnish in them. And so I make my own medium specifically for the flowers. So there's almost a science behind what I'm doing as well. But it's fun. And so I just go for it, Mandy. Like I don't have, I mean, if I wanted to, I could paint something that is, there is lots of fine detail, but where you're restricted to doing it a certain way. And I don't want to do that, because that's not what, to me, it's about life's journey, right? So nothing is perfect in the journey of life, and so you need to be open, you need to be free. And so that's what I try and bring into my art and my practice is to not have any restrictions, or when I start to feel negative in my mind about what I'm doing, I'm like, don't worry about it, work out, it'll be fine. And so I talk to myself and I get rid of that negativity. Imposter syndrome, I think they call it. We all get that. But and I have fun, more importantly. So there's a bit of planning, but then it's just going for it, making a huge mess. Yeah.
And you said earlier before we were recording that you are inspired by Jackson Pollock. So you have got part of that movement is sort of drippy, fluid kind of feels in some parts of the paintings. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you thinking there?
Oh, well, if you think about it, it's the flow of life. And so it's my way of being absolutely expressive of what I'm doing, because there's no structure to it. It is just wherever it wants to go, wherever the paint takes me, wherever my hand takes me. And I have different textures for different colors that I'm using, so I get different reactions. And there's just my way of doing things. And I mean, Jackson Pollock, he did some amazing art. His were a lot more denser than mine. I just like the fact that it's not perfect, because life isn't perfect. And so I need to know what colours will go well on top of each other, because then I don't get some kind of muddy mess.
The waterfalls, are you finding an actual place and photographing it all, or is it just coming from your mind?
Most of the time coming from my mind. There was a painting I did called Utopia, and that came from huge inspiration was when we were travelling around McLean Falls. But no, I don't take a photograph and paint that. If I do take photographs, it's purely for the love of where I've just been as a memory, and for inspiration. And so if I use a photograph, I use it to get the flow of the water right, the direction of the flow. And the other bit I didn't mention about the waterfalls is that it's the flow of life, right? So if you think about the what a waterfall does to get to its destination before it cascades down into this beautiful blue-green pool. It has to work its way through the rocks, carve its way through the rocks and the land to get there. And over the many, many years, probably millions of years, that has been there. So if you think about, again, the journey of life, that's what we do. We essentially carve our way through our journey as we're going, and through the obstacles and things in our way, and eventually we get over them, or hopefully we do, and we find our destination, which is the pool, into this crystal water.
And I love that analogy. It's just even, the idea of water sort of coming up against boulders and then sort of having a clearer way through the stream, and then suddenly it's all, it gets difficult again. And, it really is such a beautiful analogy for a personal journey.
Well, you know what? Thank you, because when I was saying to you earlier about growing up in the amongst nature in the country, in the forests, we had forests all around us, and waterways, and I don't know. I think it was probably what I was born to do. But I see the world in such a different way to some other people. Us artists do, don't we? That's why we do what we do. We all have our own unique ability to portray what we see and feel on a canvas. But for me, man, I mean, even out of all of the bad, not so good times in my life, nature has been where I've returned to. And man, we're so lucky to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm finding it's quite an interesting experience being in Turkey at the moment, because
I bet.
I'm not in nature, and it's the town is very sort of lots of rubble and kind of dryness, and there's no grass because it's it's just out of summer, and there is nature sort of further away, but where we're actually based, it's like a big town basically, and I walk every day, and I walk down to the beach, but because I'm from Muriwai Beach, I walk on the wild Muriwai Beach, or walk in the forest, or I'm at the river, or I'm in the bush, and I have all those options every day. I'm like, what am I feeling today? Like, do I want to be in the forest, or do I want to be in the bush, or do I need to be by the sea? And it's I mean, I've always appreciated it, but now even more so, it's like those options of different feelings of nature are just magical, and we're so lucky to have that in New Zealand.
Oh, we really, really are. I mean, we're blessed in New Zealand. Everywhere you go, there's somewhere beautiful to go and see. And I love it here. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. And it's sometimes, going away just helps you recognize that even more. And I also miss my dog, that connection of your animal, who's like a family member, walking in nature with your companion. There's something about that as well.
I know. I love that. Mine's sitting down here next to me.
Oh, cute. Is there anything that you struggle with in your practice that people might not expect?
Oh gosh. Anything I struggle with? Well, sometimes I do get a bit of imposter syndrome there, even though my work's all about, uplifting energy and joy and healing and, the journey of life. There's some days where I go, oh, do I really want to, is this the right energy that I want to be portraying? Because I'm very intuitive with what I'm doing. And there was a few times where I just stopped painting and I just give up on it. But then I revisit it again, and it usually turns into something really spectacular, and or it doesn't, and I just go, nah, I'm just going to guess over that and whatever have you. What I'm doing is such a positive thing for so many reasons.
And you never feel sort of stuck creatively because you're expressing such a personal thing, I suppose.
It is all from the heart. I don't get stuck. It's hard to explain it to people. It's because I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing with my art. I'm doing something that I'm meant to be doing now, and so getting stuck now doesn't really happen. Maybe in the beginning when I was finding my artistic voice and everything, but now I've found that there's no stopping me. I mean, I'm missing it. I'm missing being in my studio with all my art around me and all my things and my music and my plants and, all that stuff, and my dog in the dog bed underneath the table or whatever. So I can't wait it's like I've lost my right arm.
Yes, I can imagine. You are at the moment developing your new studio in your new place
Yeah.
in Bronte. So you have this amazing space which you are documenting on Instagram, which is actually fascinating. I love those kind of progress
Oh,
journeys,
great.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
It keeps you all occupied while I'm not actually creating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's still a nice way to connect. But
Yeah.
that looks like a gorgeous space, and that's going to be your making studio plus a place for you to show your work. Can you tell us
Yeah.
about the studio and what you're hoping for it?
Yeah, sure. So this studio is bigger than my previous one. I love my old studio. It was built by my husband. This was when he was really encouraging me to just go for it full time. But I did wish that I had a little bit more space. And when we found this property, there's a 3-bay shed on the section, and the right hand it's a lock up garage on a concrete slab, and it was just your basic 3-bay shed with a roller door, and it had no windows inside. It was just somewhere to put a boat, basically. And I just knew that was going to be my art studio. And so what we've done, we've created this amazing space. So I put a message up on our Mapua community page on Facebook, and I just said, has anyone got any secondhand windows they don't want? And then 2 days later, this guy from the local junior school, who's one of the teachers, messaged me and said, oh, we've got some. We've just put double glazing in. Come around and have a look. Call my wife. And so I rang his wife, and we went round there that night. And the perfect windows that we needed, white aluminium windows. And I really wanted white as well, because I love white. It just showcases my art beautifully. And it's very light. So Andrew, my husband, is a very talented man, and a man of many skills. And so he's been doing my whole studio. I'm doing all the fluffy stuff like painting walls and sanding and all that kind of stuff. He's done all the hard graft. And so I got this double French door and a big window. And the lady was just going to gift them to me. She didn't even want anything for them. So I gave her a gesture of goodwill payment for them. And they just look amazing. And so I've got all this natural light coming in. And so what Andrew's done is he's fitted out all the inside with, I've got plywood walls and plywood ceilings. And I've got a big creation space. I've got a couple of, like a bench top and a couple of drawer cupboards underneath. And I've just finished putting the second coat of primer on the walls and ceiling in there. And it's going to be just beautiful white everything, with lino on the floor, because it's really handy having lino, because you can just wipe the paint off. Yeah. And because concrete's awful, as you know. And so I'm going to have 2 viewing walls, 2 big viewing walls with a proper gallery hanging rail system. And so I'll be able to have people visiting me. And it'll be an open working studio as well, which is how I like it to be. And so I've just joined the Ruby Coast Arts Trail. They came round to meet me the other week just to see if my art was good enough. And so they told me that day that they'd love to have me on board, and which is not just arts trails. So they do an arts trail at the end of February and the end of October for 2 weekends. But during the summer, our studios can be open by appointment or fully open every day. And so I'm going to be opening, they advertise me. I'm on their website. I'll be on their Instagram. And they will send people to me or tell people to call me. And so someone rings me, if I'm here, I can just open up the studio and bring them down.
Sounds amazing.
So there'll be like little buses of tourists. They'll ring me to say, can we bring people around? I go, yep, sure, not a problem. Because we're right next door to an organic vineyard. So it's magical, like for tourists coming here. They'll have a little, it's a real haven where we are. So people will be able to view my art. They'll be able to purchase my art, or just come and have a nice chat, and just enjoy Bronte. So that's because of what I do with my art. I want people to see it. I want people to be able to meet me and meet the art and be able to come and actually view it in a lovely environment.
Oh, that's so exciting. And it's just such,
Yeah,
it's the perfect scenario, isn't it, for you
yeah,
and for your work. And
yeah,
it feels like, it does feel like it needs to have you speaking about it as people view it. I just, that's
yeah.
the ultimate scenario. I mean, obviously you'll have it in galleries as well, but what a perfect place. And I love the sound of that collective. What's it called? Ruby Coast.
Ruby Coast Arts Trail, Ruby Coast Arts Trail. Yeah.
And so they sound like they really know what they're doing and they've got sort of a lot of
Yes.
things sorted for
Oh,
artists in the area.
yes, they really do. So they're actually, it started off with a load of artists from Ruby Bay. And so Mapua, when you see the sign for Mapua, it's Mapua and Ruby Bay. They are the same area. So they called it Ruby Coast Arts Trail because Ruby Coast, we are pretty much all on the Ruby Coast. And so when I came, it was a bit of a conundrum because when I came on the scene and I moved here, a local artist that I met very kindly gave me an intro to these people. And I was actually turned down initially, and that's fine, but because I was in Bronte and not in Mapua Ruby Bay. But I said, hang on, I said, it's a 4-minute drive away. I really would love to be part of your group. I'd love to be part of the art scene here. And I'm just around the corner. And so I end up getting this phone call from the two people that organise it. And they said, can we come and meet you? And I said, yeah, sure. And so they came round a week or so ago and had a look at my art. And they ended up staying here for 2.5 hours and just talking the hind legs off a donkey. And yeah, and that was it. They said, well, look, we would love you to come and join us.
Instead of thinking, oh, that's a shame, okay, and sort of accepting it, you were like, no, I'm just going to, go back there and tell them how I
Yeah.
feel. And it's good for us to hear stories like that
Oh,
because often as artists, we're just like, okay, and you kind of scuttle back into
oh,
your hole. But it's good to sometimes, if you really believe in something, to just push a
yes.
little bit.
Oh my gosh, if I ever talk to an artist that's struggling with things like that, I just say to them, how much do you love what you do? And this is a recruiter coming out to me now. How much do you love doing what you do? And they say, well, I love it. And I said, and you believe in what you do? Yes, I do. Well, then don't let a no knock you down because that just means that that person either hasn't given you more of a chance yet or hasn't connected yet with you. So if you go back, 2 weeks later and to that gallery or, to that show, apply again, it's we as artists, we can take things so personally, so deeply personally because we are empaths, a lot of us, and we feel things so much more deeply than some other people may do. And so that just means that they haven't connected with you properly yet. And so have confidence in what you're doing. You love what you do, right? So believe in what you're doing. There's a huge, huge difference. Don't let a no make you feel like your art isn't good enough because that means that it's making you feel as an artist like you're not good enough. You are good enough.
Yeah.
Believe that. It's like the law of attraction, ask, believe, receive.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think
Yeah.
I've just learned so much with this experience in Turkey where I've devoted myself to my art practice. Every day I'm painting and I just totally get lost in it, which I've really never been able to do because of the other things that I've had in my life. And so it's the most awakening time for me because I'm like, oh my God, I'm learning all these things about my practice, about myself, and
Yeah, yeah,
about what it is to live as an artist. And
yeah,
I'm doing things like really researching artists, particularly from last century, who work in a similar way to me. And with a sort of fascination for pattern and grids and simple
yeah,
form and all these things, which I've always had that sort of, I guess you could call it the imposter syndrome thing of thinking my work might not be valued because it's very simple or it's whatever, or it's just pattern. Um, And that in itself has just been so affirming for me to see that there are so many artists, if you dig a little bit deeper, who actually work in the same way and have been really well
Yeah,
respected. And
yeah,
and that is sort of adding to my sort of cup of my artist cup, I suppose.
yeah.
Because it's
Great.
it's making me think, okay. And then that is helping me now believe in what I do. And
Yeah,
and now I can talk to it better as well. And I think if you can actually get in front of gallerists and speak to them like you have been about your practice, and
yeah.
I think I just feel like it will have so much more impact and so much meaning for the person that you're trying to kind of convince.
Yes, yes. Well, I think one thing I would that's a highlight for it is if I was talking to a gallery, I'd just say, you know, if you did ever decide to have my art in your gallery, you watch the people that are looking at it, because that says it all. And and that person's likely to buy it either that day or come back a few days later and buy it. And it's yeah, it's really it's important to really not lose sight of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And like you've just explained, really fill your cup up with how much you love what you do and why you're doing it and the reason why you're doing it. And there's something for everybody. you know you might have work out there, and it doesn't get seen for a bit, and it's been around for a while, and then boom, one day somebody walks in and they love it, and they love it with their heart and soul for whatever reason. And that's the beauty of art. And the
Mm,
worst thing to do is to compare yourself to other artists. We're all doing different things and have different reasons for doing it, and so there'll be someone out there that loves your art, or people out there that love your art.
mm,
And
yeah.
they don't just buy the art, they buy you.
That's right. And it's so deeply personal. We speak about this in probably
Yeah,
every single episode, but what we're
yeah,
doing as artists is so personal, and it's like a mirror to your life and to your who you are as a person. And yeah, I think the more you work, the more comfortable you get with what you're creating because you'll
definitely,
feel it more and more and more.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
interesting. You are, connecting at the moment with your local galleries. What
yeah.
is what is your approach for and what are your dreams for showing your work in the local galleries?
Yeah, so I have, so I can excited to announce this. So I've actually got a guest space at the Wall to Wall Gallery in Nelson. So I will have a number of a selection of pieces, florals and waterfalls going in there for the whole of November. So they've reached out, and so that's super cool because that Wall to Wall Gallery is a collective of artists. Unfortunately, two of the main art galleries in Nelson are closing down. And
Oh, shame.
so, yeah, so Parker Gallery has closed down, and he is now the owner of the Church House Gallery in
Mm-hmm.
Motueka. And Parker was a gallery that I was going to connect with. So I'm going to see him next week. But Wall to Wall is owned by, I think it's 6 or 7 local artists. Nicole Russell is one of them, who's becoming a friend of mine. And so they asked if I'd like to have a guest space in the gallery, which is awesome. And they will market me for Britain. They're really good at marketing and stuff. So that'll be great. And then hopefully I can get into Church House Gallery as well. I've done the Tasman National Art Awards. I've been selected for 3 years in a row to be. We're all. If you get selected, you're a finalist, and so you get to go into the awards, and then they have a 2-week exhibition that's open to the public, and so that closes on the 4th of October. So I've got a piece in called Boundless Joy, which is one of my florals, and then the rest I've got the art shows I've just been accepted into Tauranga Art Show, which is the new art shows across the Aotearoa one they're doing next year in Tauranga. So I'm bringing my art to Tauranga.
Great.
And yeah, and I've just been accepted into Christchurch Art Show. So those are my 2 shows for 2026. And the rest of the time, I'm just going to be having fun creating and having my studio open to whoever wants to pop round and have a look I think I might do every 3 or 4 months, like when I do a new series, like a drinks nibbles evening, and just invite some local people. Um, I'm a hugely social person, even though I'm isolated in my studio when I'm creating. I do like to get out there and be amongst people. I'm such a people person.
Everything for you is just coming together, and I'm so delighted for you that you found this and that you've got
Thanks,
yourself
Mandy.
in this position. Yeah, it's lovely. You deserve it. And it's so
Thank you.
nice, isn't it, that you've got such a supportive husband who's sort of
Oh,
encouraging you to live your dream.
Oh, he's my backbone with all of this. He's amazing. I couldn't be doing this like without his support, with his love and support, but also financially. At the moment I don't have a part-time job, and I quite like to, but I'm wondering whether I might not have time. We've only been here for 8 weeks, so we're just working out what we need to do. And Andrew's business he's a hard landscaper and builder, so he's getting busy now. But yeah, I mean, Andrews goes everywhere with me. Like when we do the shows together, when there's an event, he's there. He talks to people about my art. He gets it. He understands it. He's confident in speaking about it.
And I feel a bit like that with George. He's right in there. When I had open studios with the Muriai Artists Collective in May, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'll come down to the studio for the day and talk to people." And he's very, very
Awesome.
social. It was great. Initially I thought, oh, I don't know, he might end up a bit sort of distracted and taking people away from what they're there for. But he was great too at talking about my work, and it's lovely to be able to celebrate together with the person you love. Not all artists have that, but I think, if you do, it's an added bonus. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
When it comes to challenges, we have
Yeah.
spoken a little bit about, potential struggles, but is there anything that you find quite challenging as an artist?
Okay. So what does annoy me is people think that when I say I'm a full-time artist, people just think, oh, you're just dossing in life. It can't surely be a full-time job. How can you be a full-time artist? You must need to work. Well, yes, I did used to have a part-time job, but there's been a few times where people have questioned what I'm doing, and I, in my usual tone and style, will change that whole conversation around as to why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I'm actually succeeding in. There's this I've had a few knockbacks as well. I've been turned down by galleries. I've had a bad experience with a gallery. I want not to mention any names. But that was horrendous, actually.
What
um,
happened?
I wonder whether there's others that might relate to this. I approached this gallery because I wanted to it was a substantial gallery. I liked the feel of it from what I could tell, and I could see my art in there, big open space, white walls and everything. And so I went in and had a chat with this person, and took some of my art down there. And she said to me, oh, well, look, it's the garden festival coming up. Why don't you bring some of your florals down? It would be really nice for people visiting the town to see your work. And I was like, okay, that'd be lovely. Yeah, thank you. And so I brought a whole load of my work down the week before, leading up to this event. And then I get 2 days before, I get a phone call from this gallery owner, and they said, right, you need to come in and I need you to sign a contract. And I said, what? What do you mean a contract? She said, I need you to sign a contract of exclusivity. And I said, well, I've only just moved here. I haven't actually worked out what I want to do yet with my art. And when we talked, I thought this was just an opportunity for me to see if it works, and for you to see if it works and everything else. No, if you want to have your art here, you have to sign a contract of exclusivity. And she was really, really rude to me. And the vibe was not my vibe, not my tribe, not at all how I would talk to somebody else. And this was over the phone. And so she said, well, then if you're not going to do it, you're going to have to come and collect your art now. And okay, so my husband was actually at home. So we got in the car and we went down to this gallery. And she had literally just taken everything off the wall and chucked it out the back all over the floor. Like in a rage, it looked like. She'd gone and given away all of my everything that I put my art in. I make these really nice sleeves. She hadn't even kept those, and she didn't even bubble wrap them. They were just strewn over the floor, and I had to stand out the back and re-bubble wrap my art that she'd just thrown all over the floor. And it was just a horrible experience, and it was actually not great for me. It really, really knocked my confidence. And but I walked away from that big learning experience. My art never got seen. And so that year I did the arts trail and got that art up again and sold half of it. And then and then when I saw her after that event, I went up and I said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" And I sort of everything, and "Oh, I'm all right. How's it all going?" I said, "Oh, that I sold half of the art that you were going to put up."
That's quite a negative experience, but good to just, I think, acknowledge that they weren't the right fit for you and move on.
Definitely not. And it was very old school in there, and I get that some galleries work that way, and it's not a problem to me. It was just how it was delivered. It was very confrontational and not very nice. And so there are some elements of the art world that aren't so good, that we all experience from time to time. And so I made it my learning from that was to find a gallery that you connect with as the artist, but also that you feel your art is going to be well placed with. So that was some challenges that I had when I was first starting out full time.
The people who treat you like that probably are not going to be speaking about your work in the way that you want them to.
Yeah, that's exactly bang on the money there. What I thought, I just thought, I don't want this person selling my art.
No.
And so I found a really great gallery who does sell my art, who I'm still with in North Island. So that was really,
which gallery is that?
Yeah, it's the White Cell Gallery in New Plymouth, and Jo, lovely Jo, and she's sold a lot of my art in there, both my florals and waterfalls. She's got a couple of my florals in there at the moment, and if you're ever in New Plymouth, go down to the port. Don't go into the main high street. Take the road off down to the port and go and see Jo at the White Cell Gallery. It's right by the beach. Beautiful location, bars and restaurants. Great gallery.
Good to know.
Really, really good art in there.
Good to know. I love New Plymouth, actually. I think it's a really cool little town. And do you find sometimes because it is so personal that it's hard to let go?
No. There's not been one painting that I feel hard to let go because that person has connected with it on a deeply personal level, and so I've done my job. I've created something that's connected with someone that they've taken into their home, into their lives, and that's why I do what I do. And so there hasn't been one painting where I've felt it hard to let go because they are painted for others.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Some people may say, well, you need to paint for yourself first and then people buy your art because they love your art and love you. Well, yeah, I do paint for myself, but I'm painting something like this belongs in somebody's home, and one day someone will come and see it and hopefully buy it because they've connected with it, not just because of how it looks, but with the meaning. Yeah. And this is why I have my viewing space in my gallery, because it's my opportunity to talk to people, to bring people into my world and talk to them about the meaning.
Yeah. Oh, well, Kat, it's just been so delightful to speak to you. I find you incredibly inspiring and such a special person. And I think your practice is really beautiful. And I'm sure that everybody will be checking out your website and Instagram. And as I said, you can see pictures of your work on the blog post. And it's just been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Mandy. It's a real pleasure. And it's really lovely to meet you too.